We all deal with noise every single day. But have you ever stopped to think if there's an actual, official rulebook for it? Well, there is. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the laws that govern the sounds all around us. Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, it's the classic question, right? It's Saturday night, the bass is thumping through your walls, and you're just wondering, is this just super annoying, or is it actually illegal?
Or how about that sound? You know the one. The jarring clang of construction waking you up just as the sun rises. Is that even allowed? Can they really start that early?
Well, believe it or not, the answers to all these questions are laid out in a law from 2009. And that's what we're here to do today. We're going to break down exactly what this rulebook says.
So, at its very heart, this whole law is about one thing: balance. It's this constant tug-of-war, right? It recognizes that, yeah, life makes noise, but it also fiercely protects every person's right to some peace and quiet. It's a really interesting tightrope to walk.
So what does the law even mean when it says noise? It's not just any old sound. The official definition is super specific. It's any undesirable sound that's either just plain awful to listen to or could actually be bad for your health or the environment.
And this is where it gets really practical. When an inspector looks into a noise complaint, they don't just pull out a sound meter. They have to look at the whole picture. Is it 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning? Is it a one-time thing or a constant drone? Is it next to a house? All of these things matter when they're deciding if a sound has crossed the line into being unreasonable.
All right, so beyond those subjective things, the law gets very, very objective. It lays out some hard numbers. So let's dive into the specifics, because this is where it gets really clear.
The magic unit of measurement here is the decibel, or dBA. Now, to put that in perspective for you, think of 40 decibels as the kind of quiet you'd find in a library, and 60 decibels, that's about the level of a normal conversation. Just keep those two benchmarks in your head as we go.
Now check this out. This table is the core of the whole rulebook. During the day, which the law says ends at 8 p.m., a commercial area can be about 60 decibels. That's our normal conversation level. But look what happens at night. The limit drops like a stone to 35 decibels. That's quieter than a library. And that's across the board. Residential, commercial, you name it. That's a massive change. And it's all about protecting people's right to sleep.
Okay, so those numbers are the foundation. But how do they actually apply to real life? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how these rules work in situations you and I run into all the time.
So, back to that party. The rule is surprisingly specific. If your music is loud enough to bother someone 30 meters away, that's about the length of a basketball court, then it's officially too loud. And get this, the person on the hook isn't just the DJ. The law points directly at the property owner or the event organizer. They're the one who's responsible.
And the rules don't stop at your front door. Out on the streets, all that constant honking, yeah, legally, a horn is only for preventing an accident. And people shouting to sell things in residential or business areas, that's actually not allowed. Even your car has a noise limit. It can't be louder than 84 decibels when you accelerate.
And what about that 6 a.m. construction? Here's your answer. If a site is near homes or schools, the noise has to stay below 60 decibels during the day, again, conversation level. And at night, it drops down to a whisper-quiet 35 decibels, which basically makes any loud work impossible. So yeah, they can start working, but they have to do it quietly.
Of course, there are times when being loud is just part of the job. Think of a music festival or a building demolition. The law has a plan for that. But you can't just decide to make a racket. You need to get official permission first.
And there are two different kinds of permission. You've got a license, which is more for a short-term thing, like using a big sound system for an event. That's good for up to a week. Then you have a permit, and that's for the really heavy-duty stuff. Fireworks, demolition, that sort of thing. A permit can last for up to 3 months.
Now, getting a license isn't just a simple rubber stamp. You have to formally apply. You have to justify why it's necessary to be so loud. And you have to explain exactly how you're going to try and control the sound. And this part is crucial. You also have to prove that you've let the people nearby know what's about to happen.
So what happens when someone just decides to ignore all these rules and crank it up to 11 anyway? Well, this is where the regulations show they've got some serious teeth. Let's walk through what happens.
It all kicks off with a visit from an environmental inspector. And they're not just there to have a friendly chat. They will serve you with an official, legal document, a formal warning that starts a ticking clock.
And that document, it's called an improvement notice, and it does not mince words. This is a direct quote from the form. It gives the person a very specific time frame, sometimes just a few hours, to get the noise under control. There's no wiggle room there.
So what if that official notice shows up and the person just throws it in the trash? What if the noise just keeps going past the deadline?
This is when it starts to hurt financially. The maximum fine for failing to comply is 500,000 shillings. We're not talking about a small slap on the wrist here. This is a major penalty meant to make sure people take the rules seriously.
And for the really stubborn cases, for people who still don't get the message, the authorities have one final powerful tool, a closure notice. This gives them the power to completely shut down the business, the event, or whatever it is that's causing the problem. Game over. So let's just quickly recap the big points here. First, your right to peace and quiet is actually protected by the law. Second, it's not subjective. Noise is measured in decibels with really strict limits, especially at night. Third, there are clear rules for all the common annoyances like parties, cars, and construction. And finally, ignoring these rules can lead to official warnings and some pretty hefty fines.
You see, this law isn't just a bunch of boring text on a page. It's a tool that helps communities live in harmony. It gives us all a shared language to talk about sound. So here's my question for you. Now that you know the official rules of sound, what are you going to listen for in your own community? What will you hear differently?